Hello and welcome to another online lockdown learning lesson. Today we're going to be needing a pen and some paper or a whiteboard, so get your resources ready now. Okay, we're going to start with a spelling warm-up and then move on to a grammar activity. Spelling warm-up. Last week you had a word which was persuade on your Year 5 Spellings Monday motivation sheet. Can you write that word down now for me? It might be that you find that a tricky word to spell, and I think that the U in the middle of the word is the tricky one. So I've got this to help you. Maybe this will help. Persuade means to convince someone to do something through reasoning or argument. Think about I will persuade you to do something. This giant U might help you. Persuade you to do something. Anyway, that's just something for you to take away. Those verbs, persuade, can turn into a noun, persuasion. When you hear the sound sion, you don't know whether it's S-I-O-N, S-S-I-O-N, C-I-N or T-I-O-N. Persuasion. There is a rule where lots of verbs ending in D-E change to S-I-O-N. Here's a few for you. Persuade becomes persuasion. Explode becomes explosion. Decide becomes decision. That might help you in future with those spellings. Okay, here's our grammar activity. Look at these sentences that I'm going to show you. I will cut the apple. You might win the race. He should ride his bike. She can see the rabbit. Can you remember what we call the highlighted verbs? That's right. There's a group of verbs called modal verbs. You've seen 4 of them. I'm going to ask you to pause the film to see if you can remember any more. I'm looking for the 10 most common modal verbs. Welcome back. Hopefully you've written these verbs down. Will, might, should, can, could, would, may, must, shall, and you might have also got ought to. Those are our most common 10 modal verbs. Now in a sentence, you might use them like this. I will persuade you to do it. He should persuade you to do it. She can persuade you to do it, and so on. Can you see how the modal verb modifies the verb persuade to change the meaning of it? Make sure you've got all of these modal verbs written down somewhere. I'm going to be asking you, how do you think the modal verb changes the meaning of a sentence? What's the job of the modal verb? Yes, you might have thought that modal verbs indicate likelihood, the ability, permission, or obligation. That's their function in a sentence. Okay, we're going to drill down into this effect of using modal verbs. Have a look at these sentences here. 1. You must study each day. 2. We might see each other soon. 3. They can choose the correct verb. 4. I may teach this lesson today. Can you see the jobs there? Which sentence shows likelihood, or ability, or obligation, or permission? Yes, you might have thought that these are your reasonings or effects, and you'd be right. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the sentence structure. So on your paper or your whiteboard, I'm going to give you 4 sentences and I'd like you to write them down. And when you've done that, pause the film. Sentence 1. I should write a story. 2. You might sing a song. 3. He can cook the dinner. 4. She will play the game. Pause the film and replay it if you need to. Above your sentences, can you mark S for subject, V for verb, O for object, just like we do in school? Okay, you might notice that you've marked on S, V, V, O. Subject, verb, verb, object. You have two verbs together. You can see that your modal verb always stands before your main or regular verb is placed before. So a modal verb works with or helps a main verb. Sometimes they're called auxiliary verbs. Hopefully you'll be able to write some sentences, now this lesson's coming to the end, and experiment with those modal verbs. See which sentences you can write to show likelihood, or ability, or permission, or sometimes obligation. To finish, we can look at another spelling word. Now it's a bit of a spelling hack. I don't know if it's going to work, but the word is privilege. It was a word from last week's Monday Motivation, Year 5. Can you write the word privilege down? It might help you this, I'm not so sure. Privilege is spelt like this, and I've thought I have a privilege, but he doesn't. The idea being this is tricky, I, E, and then all you have to remember is that it finishes with a G. I'll leave that with you. It may or may not help you. Let's finish on this message. Modal verb message for you. I might persuade you that it is a privilege to spend time with your lovely family. You should make every effort to learn, as you can expand your brain and may become a genius before lockdown is over. I hope you've enjoyed our modal verb lesson today with a few spellings thrown in. Stay safe. Bye.